It's creeping in, it brings a mood, an atmosphere, I don't want it to. It shuts me down, it takes my voice, and I think, oh no, I have no choice. What am I doing here anyway? Here parked alone by the interstate. Biggest fool around, biggest fool around, biggest fool around. There's so much doubt in you. Biggest fool around, biggest fool around, biggest fool around. There's so much doubt in you. Biggest fool around, biggest fool around. Oh, there is no one quite like you. All my friends have come and go. This place will do, I suppose. I start to drift, the fog it deepens. My mind in the morning. Winter snow falls, my brain comes in storming. Why do we end dreams with more sleep? Open my and push on with my life. Oh, I know you'll make the perfect. And I know you'll always be a part of my life.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl RawNé, and you are tuning into Rise and Shine 209, the voice of San Joaquin and Stockton's morning show. What's up, everybody? I hope you guys are doing great this morning. I have Valentino Silva in the house.
What's up?
Hey.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here today, and thanks for coming out, you guys. He is with so many things going on in the community. I only put one thing that he does up there that we're going to get into, like, quite a few things, though.
Yeah.
So for anybody who doesn't know you, first off, let me just go ahead and let you introduce yourself and how you would do that.
Yeah, so my name is Valentino Silva. I am a youth community organizer here in Stockton, California. I'm also running for school board, and I'm a board member with Crime Stoppers. It is time for our community to build a bridge together between community law enforcement and all the bridges in between to really get to the root of the issue and how we can function as one.
Now, when you say we have to kind of bring and bridge together, what have you seen that has been the missing link for that?
Opportunity provided for the people in disenfranchised communities. I've worked with political campaigns, nonprofit groups, and sometimes there's a map and there's a map that says I can't go in these areas, but that's the area that, you know, the service should be provided for. So it's just little things like that that kind of bug me, because it's like, well, you know, we want to provide this great service for the community, and here's, you know,
It should be for everybody.
It should be for everybody, and especially for the area that they knock it off.
I can't believe, like, there's a map says don't go in this area.
Yeah, they set little parameters for me sometimes, and I'm told not to go there. But it's like, you know, that's the space that we need to be in.
Right, that's the place that we need.
Yeah, those are the hot spots.
So, I mean, if you don't mind me asking, and you're more than welcome to tell me that you can or can't talk about it, why are those places blocked off?
Because, so, like, for groups, right? So they're knocked off because it is not proven for them to be engaged. But proven.
Right.
But there's no opportunity. They're just going based off kind of the word in the office or the word on the street, like, don't go over there because you're just going to waste your money, your time, because they don't want the help. But there are people who are looking for those services, and there are people who are looking to become engaged.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so true, because you never know when that moment strikes, when they are at a point where they're like, I just can't handle this anymore. I need to let somebody know, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about going in there, giving them the opportunity to speak, what is it that we're talking about allowing them to speak on?
Speaking upon their truths. Like, when I work for political campaigns, I like to go straight towards the issue, and their experience is all you need. Hearing their stories and listening to people's stories in the communities, it's an honor, because, you know, they're entrusting you with their truth, and it's, you know, as a person with power or a change maker or a policy maker, you want to listen to all the stories that you can gather so that you can build upon your mindset. Because, you know, I may think something different that somebody in Northside thinks about, but it's like we have to come together to meet in the middle ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about Crime Stoppers right now.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about giving them the opportunities to speak. And now when you speak on the disenfranchised areas, it's kind of more this lower socioeconomic, more broken areas.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's not familiar with the term, or may think we don't have that in our area, we do.
We do. We do. It's out there.
So now, what is your goals? Like, so for example, we know that it's been kind of tough in the area for a lot of people to want to speak up, to even say anything about crimes that they've seen. Because I mean, our crime is rising a little bit, especially with like homicides and things of that nature. I mean, what do you encourage people to do? Because you're now, and then we're going to get into the whole aspect of the fact that you're this youthful energy that has come into this this ancient this ancient board member, of members here. But I want you to speak on that part, what that means, like, for people. And
so when I joined Crime Stoppers, I wanted to join with a mindset of how can I rebuild the community trust. Because the concept of Crime Stoppers is that somebody will call the hotline number and report a crime. So you remain anonymous 100% throughout the way, but there's still that stigma of it being snitching or people scared of retaliation. So as somebody, a part of Crime Stoppers, I think, okay, so what can we do to secure the trust with the community? Because we want them to use the service. The service is there to help them. And what I tell people in the community is, think about if your loved one died, wouldn't you want somebody to say something as well? Because I know I would.
Yeah. And so what do you tell people when they say, I'm just afraid of retaliation? If they think that somebody, even if they just have this inkling, because people are already, for those who are like on drugs, there's a lot of people on drugs. Their mind's already going like paranoid, right? Yeah. So then add to like, oh my gosh, that I'm breaking the code, I'm snitching, or I'm doing something. Where and what can you tell people to kind of like ease them, to help them understand, like, yes, we understand that that's a scary thing for you, but like, what do you tell them?
I just have to show them and prove to them that it's 100% anonymous. I mean, Crime Stoppers has been here in Stockton for a very long time. We were the first Crime Stoppers in California established. And it's just showing them how the process works, 100% anonymous. You don't have to worry about, retaliation or things like that, even though those are real concerns that people have, and I do understand that. But it's just...
It's a very small percentage if that's going to happen. Because how do they know you're saying anything?
Exactly. Because, you're just given... To us, you're just known as like an ID number. You're just a little number.
Right.
And that number comes with, the tip that you provide. And from there, if it leads to an arrest, you'll be contacted through that number.
So they actually get feedback?
No. So it's just like if the tip leads to an arrest.
Yeah, they actually get feedback.
Because they have to get the cash reward.
Oh, that part. Oh, okay, so that's a different aspect. Okay, so you guys are looking at cash awards,
So
let's talk about that a little bit. I don't think people know how that actually works.
So if you see a crime or something happen and you know something, if that tip is helpful towards the police department, you will be contacted. Like, as a board member, I sit in a meeting, we get a list of cases, and at the bottom of each case is a recommended price for that tip. So it's either between $200 up to almost $10,000 sometimes, just depending on, how serious the case was, and if it was helpful or if it led to something else. It just depends on all those factors.
To encourage and to help encourage everybody out there, and to encourage anybody who may have information about any of the cases. And if you're looking to say, maybe I had some information, I never had I never wanted to share it before, but now maybe they're enticed by the fact that they might get a reward.
A reward, yes.
Where would they go to look to find out if the information they have on a particular case, to see if that case is giving an award?
It's just done upon submission.
So do they go somewhere to find out, like, if a case is open, so to speak? Like, if the Crime Stoppers, do you have like a website or anything that says like these are the people we're looking for?
We have a Crime Stoppers website, and on our Facebook we share a lot of posts with SPD and Crime Stoppers, and that's I believe it's StocktonCrimeStoppers.com.
Okay.
And it's just basically like between the posts that we do, SPD has like Stockton Crime Stoppers profile cases, as to like if somebody's wanted, you'll see like their photo, the description of the case, and then you see the SPD logo, Stockton Crime Stoppers logo with the information to contact them. So it's just, but there still are cases open. Like when I shared this with you last time we spoke, what kind of really intrigued me to join Crime Stoppers was when, I believe it was Valentine's Day or Mother's Day, there was a shooting out in the Vista.
Yeah.
And it was a drive-by shooting that killed an entire family.
Yes,
And
that was a family friend of ours.
yeah,
yes.
yeah. And so I just couldn't believe that an entire family was murdered
In the community.
and
And
nobody
nobody-
is saying anything or nobody knows anything.
Right.
And it's stressful.
It gives me
because,
chills.
yeah, it's stressful to me because it's like, those
Why
are
wouldn't somebody want
exactly, because those are, a family that's hurt, friends are hurt.
like entire families?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And it's
And I saw what that was out at the vigil
Mhm.
when we had gone out there, and that was, as pretty much when we found out, and just to see the family gathering, but then beyond that, the funerals and how the community is reaching out for, putting the information out there for Crime Stoppers,
Yeah.
trying to catch that. My sister does it often. She's always posting Crime Stoppers for Joe
Yeah.
and for the family,
yeah.
and basically it's those kinds of things. So I want to give a shout out Hollywood King's tapping in saying good morning. So
Oh,
good
good
morning to
morning.
Hollywood King. He's out in the Fresno area,
Okay.
but he's one of the artists that share with us.
Oh,
But
awesome.
I mean, I think about it when I tie in artists like that that are just all over the
Mhm.
nation.
Yes.
And so Crime Stoppers doesn't just happen here. We don't just have a place here where it's like in Stockton, but it's a taboo subject everywhere.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so it's kind of like trying to break that stigma across the okay, so it's ingrained in our culture.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like trying to break that now. So
Yeah.
here you are, this fresh new energy. You're going in. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously
Yeah.
though, because you were mentioning, and so he was talking about how, okay, they do things to help out with rewards and funds and things of that nature, and just a fresh new perspective on things. And we talked about this, how now we the youth are coming of age to be able to take the reins and to step
Exactly.
into roles and to be those people to go ahead and say, hey, elders, we're here with you, and
Yes.
for you, we understand this
Yeah.
importance. We're ready for you to pass that baton.
Exactly. And
So-
with that needs to come mentorship, training, and trust and dedication that, the elders can provide towards the youth. And that's an issue that I kind of see with every organization that I work with.
Agreed.
Is because, they're the people up top and
They don't want to change anything.
They don't want to change anything. It's
Yeah.
been working for the past X amount of years. And like with Crime Stoppers, when I joined, the first thing that I wanted to do is build upon community engagement. And I was like, awesome, what a more perfect way than to go into the high schools and provide a scholarship for our seniors. My first month I submitted the proposal, it was declined. Because there were some concerns between the board members.
Oh.
But then I came back, adjusted everything, and the second month it was unanimously approved.
Yay.
And so this year, 2019, we had our first recipient, and her name is Dala.
Shout out Dala.
Yeah, she goes to Health Careers Academy, and she is just awesome. So it's just every time every time I'm in a position of power, so to speak, I want to create opportunity for other youth to come along.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is when you're in a position of power comes great responsibility to be able to raise up and to lift up
Exactly.
and to grow and develop
Mhm.
those in our community to become more capable people in society.
Yeah.
So this is a very important piece to hear such a youthful energy. And do you mind sharing your age?
I'm 19.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you guys, he's 19 years old, and he's sitting here like in these boards where they're making decisions because it's that important.
Yeah.
And it really takes a person to like step up out of the norm to say, I want to take responsibility in this, and I want to do
Exactly.
something, and I'm going to take action.
Exactly.
So here you are. Not only are you with Crime Stoppers, and you're pushing this new wave of open-mindedness,
Yes.
being able to just be totally transparent
Exactly.
about what's going on between the police department, the community,
Yeah.
and saying it's not okay anymore.
It's
We
not.
need everybody to step up to the plate to be able to solve these things because it's not about, I guess for a lack of a better way of saying it, just you and your fear.
Yeah.
It's about being able to get people that are dangerous off the streets,
Yes.
so that they're not doing these things again and hurting other people.
Exactly.
That you're getting closure for so many people who are deeply wounded, and spirits spirits that are just have no closure.
Exactly.
Could
And
just
and
be here.
that leaves trauma lingering on. People have, I say this, Stockton, we're known for our high crime rates, but also with those high crime rates are tons of families that are hurt, tons of friends, tons of cousins that don't get to see their cousins anymore.
Right.
And it's like, that comes with depression, and it may not come.
Suicidal tendencies.
Yeah, it may not come right now, but then
Something could trigger them down the road, and
Exactly.
all of a sudden they go into a spiral.
Exactly, and then people start
Yeah.
to wonder why am I losing sleep? Why am I acting crazy?
Anxiety.
I have so much anxiety, what's going on? And it's like, well, because that wasn't addressed. Your trauma wasn't addressed.
Right. Totally suppressed it.
Yeah.
So here you go from one aspect where you're working with like intense information, things that are traumatic, and now you also so now you kind of run the gamut of being able to just be involved in the whole healing aspect, because you go from the trauma and finding kind of it does open wounds when you find bits and pieces, and now you have to kind of put it together to get it resolved
Yes.
and solved.
Yes.
So it reopens trauma sometimes. And so now you are also working with Kimberly Wormsley,
Yeah.
and you guys have a trauma series.
Yes.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah. So Kimberly Wormsley, she owns a private practice, Kimberly Wormsley Therapeutic and Trauma Services. She's the host here
Hey,
of
shout
Kimberly
out to
Wormsley
Kimberly,
Live.
yeah.
Shout out to Kimberly. And what she is doing is just so remarkable for the community, and especially, her series here on the radio show.
It's a 5-part series.
Yeah, it's a 5-part series for the entire month of April, and she speaks about the different sectors of trauma, the different sectors of healing, and what that looks like for the community of Stockton. She really understands what it's like to feel hurt. She understands people are not going to always open up, but it's how you get them to open up.
Yeah.
I was sitting in a meeting one time, and they wanted me to identify myself and identify the work that I do, and I told them, I deal with trauma and stuff like that, and they corrected me, and they said, because I said something along the lines of, you have to address people's trauma, and they said, well, what if they're not ready to address that trauma?
Right.
That's totally understandable, 100%. But there's going to be a point in time when your body is subconsciously going to shut down.
Yeah.
And like I said,
And
you're going to
process it one way.
yeah, you're going to start to wonder what's going on. Like we said, you have so much anxiety, so much depression, you're losing sleep, you're losing your appetite, and it's because it's going to be a hard conversation.
Oh, yeah.
And me and Kimberly, we have
And
these
practice.
Yeah, me and Kimberly have these hard conversations with real people out in the community. So I experience it, I see it,
Yeah.
and I hear it,
Yeah.
most importantly. But Stockton is a place where it needs to be talked about.
Totally agree, especially now, and it's happening across the nation. It's time for a healing.
Yeah.
It's time for the healing process.
Yes.
Everything is leading up to the point where a woe is me, and everybody's talking about their woes and how much worse they can make it, like one up you on the worst experience ever kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's take it back to like, now what's the best experience? How did you heal that?
Yeah.
How did you deal with that? Because yes, it may be a point where a lot of people, I'm at a point, I'm not ready to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. But you're just prolonging the process.
Yeah.
You're prolonging the growth and the healing process that you all need to go through.
Yes.
And so I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
There's things that I don't want to talk
Yeah.
about, but when you do have somebody who is brave enough and solid enough to sit with you,
Yep.
to sit and pull that out and work through and navigate your mind, your heart, to say that's the root.
Yeah.
That's where we're pinpointing.
Yep.
That's what we're working on,
Yep.
and to allow somebody to come up out of that, it takes a strong group,
It
a
does.
strong person.
Yes.
So for the fact that you going and reaching out, like literally just getting your hands in there with getting data, and now you're working with the healing of the
Yes.
individuals, of the families.
Yes.
You've even extended that even beyond going into other things that you're doing
Yeah.
now, because now you're talking about like the educational
Yep.
aspects, and here you are running
Yeah.
for a trustee,
Yeah.
District 3 for
Yes.
SUSD.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, does this all play into what you are working on with Crime Stoppers and with the healing of trauma?
Yeah, because so it doesn't healing the community. It's not going to take one organization,
Right.
one person, one group. It's going to be a citywide collaborative effort on healing Stockton, and hopefully that inspires other cities, counties, and or possibly the nation to do the same thing, because I can bring something to the table, but then you can also bring something different to the table.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because we both have very different experiences,
Yeah.
and we can relate to more people once we combine together.
So true. And for an example, I'm going to give you guys, people speak different languages.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe people who are in the culture who only speak that language because they haven't yet learned English may not want to communicate with anybody else, other than the fact that maybe they can't.
Yeah.
But they may not want to.
Yep.
They're not comfortable.
Yeah.
So you have somebody in the same arena, at
Mhm.
the same table, in the
Yep.
same playing
Yep.
field, and they can reach these other
Yes.
people
Yeah.
and bring to the table their concerns and what it is that they would like to address.
It's a community-based solution, and what
Yeah.
that means is that everybody is going to have a seat at the table.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to be gate guarded out.
Right.
The elite, everybody has to have a seat at the table, and if people sitting at the table are not allowing that, that's the root of the issue right there.
Now, is that to go along with this stopping the school to prison pipeline?
Yes.
Can we speak on that?
Yeah.
I could just read it off really
Yeah.
quickly if you guys can see. Eliminating disparities and discipline practices, creating a supportive and nurturing school climate, professional training and development, partnerships and community engagement, student and family engagement. So, stopping the school to prison pipeline. Can we just talk about that for a little
Yes.
bit? Because I know that's very important.
Yes. So it's a very real thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a myth.
Right.
There's tons of data, tons of facts, statistics that show when kids, and so when I'm speaking about kids, there's the data identifies mostly African Americans,
Mm-hmm.
Latinos,
Mm-hmm.
minorities,
Okay.
people of color.
Okay.
So those groups in schools, once they're disciplined, they're more likely to end up in the jail system right after school, because the school
Has already
wasn't,
set them up
yeah,
and
this-
painted this picture.
yeah, it wasn't
Mhm.
there to support them in correcting the behavior. It was more of, okay, we're gonna call the cops on you and you're gonna be suspended for 3 to 4 days. You're gonna come
Mhm.
back to school. There's no corrective action. There's no
The parents get in trouble for truancy for whatever reason that may
yeah,
be.
yeah. So it's like there's no communication between the administration or the student. What if that student is having a deeper issue?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I spoke with the principal of an elementary school,
Mhm.
and we had a very long conversation about the school to prison pipeline. And what she did is that she had her 8th graders at that school write her a letter explaining themselves, kind of like a bio about themselves
Oh,
to
okay.
her, because she was a new principal and she just wanted to see, the scale of the school and what her students think and how they're feeling.
And not only that, she can also tell what their grammatical skills would be
Exactly.
in the process too.
Exactly. And so, she was showing me these binders of letters, right? And they're really opening up to her.
Mm.
Students
Their
will-
life, huh?
Exactly.
'Cause,
They
yeah.
they will tell you.
If you ask them.
I go home and mom or dad doesn't love me. So when a teacher yells at me, why do you think I'm gonna behave out?
Uh-huh.
I never think a student goes to school thinking,
Right.
I want to be mean to the teacher or
Right.
I want to act out in class.
Right.
It's events behind that, events at home
Mhm.
leading up to that.
And it's so true. And I'm going to give people an example of that. So, like, this is where it's tough. And then it's important for us to learn self-control and how to learn to pause in the moment of anger,
Mhm.
frustration, before we speak out
Yeah.
or act out.
Yes.
Because we're showing and modeling the behavior and teaching,
Mhm.
right? So, I think about this, like, for example, in maybe a recent, I want to say argument, but a little dispute. Like, in the home,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, where you're just having conversations. But how important it is, because when you can have the conversation of like, I'm feeling angry, and being able
Yeah.
to identify those emotions
Yes.
and being able to communicate it, you're able to work through what it is and how to come to a conclusion of what action to take,
Yeah.
proper action to take.
Yes. And especially, dealing with school districts, you're dealing with kids.
Right.
So
they don't know themselves.
they're still in
you
their
know?
adolescence.
They have to be taught.
I'm still in my adolescence.
Right. So they still have to be taught like how to handle those situations.
Exactly.
Those communication pieces
So
that
it's-
just hit them.
So it's like they have all these emotions, and most of the time it just goes straight to anger, because that's what
First
they
thing
just
they
know
know.
how to
Yeah.
display out.
And that's that cellular memory.
Yeah.
It's what they're familiar with.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so it's like you have to teach them their emotions. You have to
Yes.
teach them what it's like to be happy. Teach them what it's like
Yes.
to be sad.
Yes.
Teach them more things than to be angry.
Absolutely right.
Because right now that's just what it is.
Yes.
Students being defiant, a teacher's going to chew them out in class in front of everybody. Of course they're going to be angry.
Even the parent, even the teachers now are getting frustrated with what they have to work with.
Teachers,
and they're falling. I'm sorry, but they're falling.
Yeah, teachers, they have a lot to deal with on their plates, and from their aspect, I do understand, the punishments and stuff like that, but it's like there's more to it. And also on that image, I think it's the second to last one, it says professional development training.
That's so important.
Because that has to be provided for the entire school site, district wide. It's very important.
It's super important. I used to be a teacher with Head Start for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And learning how to develop individuals. You weren't just working with individuals. You're working with families.
Yeah.
You're working with volunteers.
Yeah.
You're working with co-teachers.
Yes.
You're working with community members when you say we're going to go on this field trip because this is what you're going to learn.
Yeah.
This is what's going to be, that lesson. So when you're talking about going out and being able to get professional development, one of my favorite things to do as a teacher was to go to the in-service days for professional development, because you're always learning and getting these pieces of information, more nuggets, golden nuggets, to be able to implement and practice. But then at the same time, you're working and learning yourself.
Exactly.
In the same respect, you're also working and growing and teaching and helping to develop, others across the board.
Yes.
It's a very important piece. Professional development is a very important
Yeah.
piece. And if that means that a teacher came to professional development and learned, oh my gosh, I'm broken in some way, there's some healing that I need to do.
Oh.
That's a very important
And that
piece.
happens all the time, because as people providing services for the community, and teachers providing service for the students, it comes back. Your flashbacks can come back as well during that. And so, that's where the self-care comes along.
Self-care, good one.
That's a huge one.
Yeah.
But back to the school to prison pipeline, it's such a huge issue that when I first, because I'm still learning about things. I'm still reading. I'm still educating myself. When I first introduced myself to this topic, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, so this is happening in school districts across America, where school districts are pumping out Harvard students, but yet at the same time, they're pumping out prisoners.
Prisoners, right.
And it's very sad to see, because I grew up Conway, Sierra Vista, right? And those are the people that they are sending to prison. Those are the youth that are being disconnected from the community, and they're being either disconnected voluntarily or involuntarily. But it's because they're not being given that opportunity to prove themselves, to show that they're better than that. But the first step is teaching the youth, and this is what I do, that their situation is not normal. Because I grew up in Conway, I grew up on Dallas Avenue. Drugs, prostitution, you name it, pimping, gangs.
Yeah.
Oh, gangs was a huge one.
Big one, yep.
Big one.
I remember that area being, for the police department, that area being, and a couple others, hotspots where gang members who were gang affiliated and known as gang affiliated already were not even allowed to hang out together.
Yeah.
Like they can't even be seen together.
Yeah.
So that's how intense it is out there.
Because so that department, is provided by HUD. It's housing
Lower,
assistance
right.
and stuff like
Project
that.
housing type.
Yeah. So it's like I grew up living in the same structure of the frame that these youth grew up in, but I had an out that they didn't have most of the time. So it's just I don't feel right in my community work not to provide the opportunity for them as I'm coming along, but at the same time we have to teach these youth. There's more to this.
Yes.
There's more to the streets.
Yes.
There's so much more out there that you probably wouldn't even imagine sometimes.
Right. Like, it's beyond your dream. The biggest dream you can dream.
Exactly.
We'll show you that it exists, and you can dream bigger.
Exactly. Yes. And it's up to local groups, local nonprofits to provide space for them to use their talents. And instead of bashing them on their talents and disciplining them for their talents, teach them
give them a place to use it.
But not only to use it, but teach them how to use it to better their local community.
And not only themselves, but their local community.
Exactly.
Right?
Because everything it starts within your own unit. It starts within your own home.
Yeah.
I can be doing so much amazing work in the community, but that's in the public. But, behind closed doors, that's what really matters in your own home. And if you're not instilling that in your home, if you're not preaching what you're teaching in your own home, it's just kind of a waste of the time, because it's just going to be a cycle at the same time where, okay, so it's like dealing with the person of trauma. We help them with their trauma. We're there for them for their trauma. We tell them, these are the things that are triggering your trauma. And these are the steps to stop that cycle. But if they go back on that same cycle, I have to go back to step one again on identifying their traumas.
Because a lot of times people aren't keeping it at the forefront of their mind. They don't keep it at the forefront of their mind that this is important for them to pay attention to within themselves.
Yes.
All they're doing is kind of, what's outside of me? What's going on outside of me? I'm going to react. They're not internalizing or being at one with themselves and their environment to say, I know that I'm going through a healing process. I know that I'm broken right now, and there's things that are going to be setting me off, and let me just go on and stop for a second and just be like, oh, that's a red flag. I feel myself getting goosebumps. I feel myself like starting to get hot. They're not paying attention to the red flags and what their body's doing when a red flag hits them. They don't know to sit there and say, it takes you a moment to pause and check with yourself. Check in with yourself before you check in with somebody else.
Exactly. And we're very good with developing coping methods.
Yes.
They're like...
I have another guy coming in. He comes in and talks. He's from prison.
Yeah.
Speaks on coping mechanisms.
Yeah. So people in Stockton with all this trauma and people not identifying it tells me, we are the masters of coping.
Ooh, much so.
We are so talented in coping that sometimes it's unbelievable.
Yeah, we sweep everything under the rug.
You can trick yourself that something didn't happen, but in the back of your mind, it's still there.
Yes, and that's how it is up in the organizations when you talk about how, and I agree that they've settled in. They had all the people that they've had for so many years and settled in. They don't want to change hands. They don't want to start to grow and open up and develop. So that part right there, they just sit there and it's just like, oh, well, I'm not going to bother with it.
It's just like, well, I've been doing this and it hasn't affected me.
Right.
But then you never know. 2 months, 2 years, 5 years down the road.
I don't know what hit me. What was
exactly.
that?
You're like, what's happening? Like I said, your body's gonna shut down, and it's insane and it's sad because there's so much talent in the youth here in Stockton. Yeah. Like when I first started getting involved with the community and doing community organizing work, I was just blown away on how other youth like me are out there wanting to make a change, wanting to create the opportunity. But let me tell you, especially in San Joaquin County, it is so hard for a youth to prosper. It is so hard because there's so many people gatekeeping. There's so many people.
The elders are like, oh, they're young. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, there's so many people always identifying me by my age rather than by my talent or by the
ageism, not racism. Ageism.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
Exactly. There's so many. I almost get told almost every day with the work that I do. They're like, aren't you only 19? Well, I'm like, So when they tell me that, I'm like, all right, let me show you what this 19-year-old can do. So that's why sometimes I get like so passionate.
Give it to the youth.
Yeah, because it's like every opportunity that I've had, I had to create my own space, right? So it's like before I came with Crime Stoppers.
Yeah, you could take it back all the way to Conway. You're out.
Exactly.
You know, you were able to.
Exactly. I first started to get involved in community my junior year in high school. I was 16 years old. And during that time, I did a Students Matters March, and it was downtown, and it was my first city event, right? And, you know, I had these youth show out that were so passionate about education, so passionate about obtaining higher education. Assemblymember Susan Eggman came out of her office to come say hi. It was just awesome. So that was my first city event, right? But at the same time, me doing something good for the community, there's people questioning me, or where am I from, or who am I?
Right, of course.
And it's like
how can you do these things?
And so going on to my senior year in high school, that's when the school shooting started to become more of a trend in America. And I was able
That's sad, a trend in America. Oh,
exactly.
gosh.
And so I was able to bring the March for Our Lives here to Stockton, right? And with that, I paid my insurance with the city. I paid my permits with the city. But during that process, I had to jump through so many more unnecessary hoops that were there, and speed bumps that were there placed intentionally in front of me. Yeah, intentionally in front of me to either discourage me from having this event or discouraging me from engaging with other youth. At that event, we had more than 800 people show up to march with us.
And they wanted to discourage that.
And there are scare tactics of throwing paperwork in front of me, throwing fines in front of me to pay to make sure that I can do this event.
Wow.
It was just so unnecessary.
Right. And they're still doing it. Actually, I hear to a few people that they're not trying to see.
It still happens, and when I think about it, I think about, so what if I wasn't a persistent youth? What if I did give up?
Right.
Because I'm pretty sure there are other youth out there who don't question the system, who
just go with the flow and are the puppet.
Like, say, if they say no, then it's a no. But for me, I was like, why is that a no?
Why is that a no? And that's the difference when people start to ask the question why.
Yes.
And I think more people need to start asking the question why.
It's just a simple word, why.
Why?
And it can open up so many doors, because you don't know how many times I had to meet with the city department that deals with the city permits and stuff like that to get this, to get that March for Our Lives here in Stockton. Like, it was like, just so insane.
I'm doing this.
Yeah, I was like, at the end of the day, this event is going to be held, and I came in with a mentality of, if it's going to be classified as a protest because it didn't have the permit, like, it was going to happen one way or another. But it's just like, why did I have to go through that?
I think that's a really important piece that you mentioned, that being able to come together to have these great events. But in those events, we're teaching the youth, our youth, ourselves, each other, and working with each other to show each other how to have a good time. How to party well. How to handle your anger. Like, okay, for example, the International Pillow Fight Day. The International Pillow Fight Day. You got to teach people how to literally and figuratively take a hit. So being able to just go and play with somebody when you're able to, and it's soft, you know, you can have conversation during the pillow fight. If you're frustrated and angry, if the kids, you know, it's a great way for the kids and the parents to bond, because sometimes a kid is mad at their parent and maybe they do want to take a swing at their parent, but you know, it's inappropriate to take a swing at your parent. But however, in a pillow fight, it's everything that it's supposed to be. And it's okay. Because within the guidelines, you don't hit them in the face. You're not supposed to be swinging to kill them. You know, and if you do, it's not in the face. You don't hit with glasses or cameras and things of that nature. But you're showing them how to handle anger management in a positive way. And in the end, you're laughing. It's a physical activity to where you have physical activity that goes and that sets off endorphins that brings up good energy as well. So it's things like that. A lot of people don't understand the concepts behind it, and they think, oh, pillow fight. But yet you'll go ahead and pay for laser tag, paintball guns,
Yeah.
and water guns and
Oh, yeah.
stuff. But people want to trip on a pillow fight like because you're hitting.
Yeah.
Okay, well you're shooting.
Yeah.
With other things,
Oh, yeah,
and some
yeah.
of it leaves bruises. So
Like you said, it's just you have to teach them. Like
you have to teach them.
with
We
that-
have to teach them.
with that event with the March for Our Lives, I set it up so we did the presentations because I picked some youth in the community that were affected by gun violence.
Nice.
That was the whole focus of the event was gun violence, and
You should do it again.
we highlighted their stories at the event, and then at the end was the march. But it's teaching them. I was able to help them learn how to advocate for themselves properly and legally within the system, but at the same time questioning the same system that we have to follow. Julie Shart, she is with Cleveland School Remembers.
Okay.
She was my mentor with getting this event into Stockton because I shared with her my frustration. She was there sitting with me in the offices when, the event, we had some police officers come up to me and they were like, we've never had anybody follow the proper steps to do an event because the March for Our Lives, some people it was seen as advocating for gun violence, and some people it was seen as a violent protest.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Where would they have gotten it twisted that it was a violent protest?
exactly.
It's totally twisted thought.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And my main issue, so at that time I was 18, right? I was 18, and I'm still fresh into organizing and working with different egos, different personalities, and I would get really offended. I was so offended because somebody would ask me a question and I'm like, where would that lead you to think that? Where did that come from? Because I already explained what the event entails, and people were throwing in their own thing of, oh, they're gonna march down. Yeah, so many assumptions, and even by employees,
it's in black and white here. Where is that piece?
Yeah, and even with people that are employed by the city throwing in their own assumptions as well.
Oh.
And that's just the one thing that really, really frustrated me.
That's a blocker, right? Because
Yeah.
now they are not adhering to their own guidelines when they're starting to say, okay, yes, we take your applications, you
Yes.
fill everything out, pay your fees, everything's according, and
Mhm.
if it's a go, okay, where does it say that you get to assess whether
Yes.
it's an appropriate event or not?
Yeah, and people don't like to talk about it because they don't like to question it because they don't want to deal with the drama, or they don't want to look a certain way. But it's like,
But they put certain things on CNN. I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
About our city.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
So it's like, for me, it's like, you don't pay my bills.
Right.
You don't pay my phone bill. You don't pay my rent. You don't.
You don't see my vision. You don't
Exactly.
know my passion.
You don't see the struggle that I have to have this passion.
Yes.
You don't
Oh,
understand the sacrifices that I have to make in order to do the community work that I want to do. Because trust me, it is very hard.
Oh yeah.
Like, I go to college, I'm a sophomore at Humphreys University. I'm studying legal studies. So I got, $200 books that I have to buy.
Right. Not to mention.
But community organizing work, it does not pay unless,
doesn't, right.
getting into the logistics of it, it does not pay unless a nonprofit or a company wants to contract, or a sponsor wants to contract you out for doing the work, or donations made, or sponsorships of, we'll buy the stage, we'll buy the sound systems, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it does not pay, and it's it's just set up very hard for people wanting to become engaged.
Because everybody has great ideas.
Yeah, kind of using this as an example, like with Flint, Michigan, right? So,
Oh, yes.
So their water.
Yeah. They've been struggling for how long?
Exactly. So I watched so many movies and documentaries and interviews with people that live in Flint, Michigan, that are living through this. And it's like, they are now, because what has it been, like 5 years that their water is still not clean.
It's been a long time, and I recently just saw an article, I think, online or in basically saying, I think it was Willow. No, I think it was one of Will and Jada's children that donated money to Flint so that they can start to get a water purifying system so they can start cleaning up their water.
Exactly.
I think it was either Willow or
Jaden Smith.
Jaden Smith.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, so now they're 3-4 years deep into this issue.
Yeah.
And they are at a point where they can no longer advocate for themselves, because at the end of the day, they have to pay their bills.
Yeah.
They're worried about their car insurance, their car notes, their rents, their mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
As
now their health.
Yeah, they say as much as they want to advocate,
they don't have time.
They don't have the time, and that's very sad.
Yeah.
Because that shows me somewhere in the system something's not working out right.
Mm-hmm.
Something or somebody's there
not addressing anything.
Not upholding their integrity.
Right.
Not
being accountable for what's going on.
Exactly. And
letting people fail.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard because, I kind of look at that and look at it through a Stocktonian's lens, where it's like, okay, here in Stockton, we have so much crime. Mm-hmm. People want to advocate for the crime. People are involved in the crime. Mm-hmm. People are hurt by the crime. But it's like
doesn't anybody
they
care?
Don't exactly. But it's like they don't have the opportunity or the time
or the knowledge. Maybe they don't even know how to get started.
Exactly.
Maybe they're just so in such a place that it's not their thing.
Yeah.
But they just know they feel some type of way.
Yeah. I speak with everybody and they tell me that all the time. It's like, because they ask me, how do you get involved? Well, it's like, I have to create my own opportunity, because sometimes no organization or no business wants to provide that space for me. So most of the time I provide my own space. Mm-hmm. And so once I started to provide my own space, that's when, Crime Stoppers reached out to me to become a board member. Mm-hmm. Commissions want me to become a commissioner on their boards. Mm-hmm. But it's like, why did I have to kind of defy you guys to show you that I can do the work?
Right.
And
that's the way they want it. They want proof.
Yeah.
They want to prove it to me.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like that. Prove it to me. I want to see how dedicated you
and
are.
Me being 19.
Of course, you got time and energy.
Yeah. Me being 19, my credibility is, for most people, my credibility is not there because of my age or,
But it's definitely in your work and in your resume.
Exactly.
So they may not see it in your age.
Yeah.
But you guys can check out his resume.
You feel me?
And it's only going to be growing because he's only going to be doing so much more.
Exactly.
Valentino, it's been great having you here, and the fact that you're just sharing with so many people that possibility for them at such a young age, and even people who are older than you are, and still would like to find out how they can get involved with that.
Yeah.
So, just giving them those tidbits, those golden nuggets on how they can open up themselves, and it may give them that out.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you guys
can I end on one more thing?
Yeah, please.
All right. So any of the youth or people having nonprofits, people in charge of something, if you're in a position of power, make sure you provide opportunity to bring people along with you. And to the youth out there that want to get involved, don't allow a system or a person to tell you no, because you can either go to the left, to the right, over the bridge, dig a hole under the bridge, and get there one way or another. That's what I have been doing, and if I would have stopped, I probably wouldn't have been a board member at Crime Stoppers. I probably wouldn't have been running for school board.
That's right.
I probably wouldn't be doing the community-oriented events that I do. But it's like, still persist, prosper within yourself, and allow other people to join you on your ride to prosper with you. Yeah.
I'm just gonna let that sit right there for you guys. You guys heard that from him, like a youth member in our community doing so much. You guys, it does take a team. It takes people to get there. So, I love the note that you ended on. Great information. Natalie Cruz says, love you, Valentino.
Love you, too.
We've got Young Mo's tapping in, who's Cali boy, saying, yee.
What's
like
up with it?
Out, listening to what you got going on. But, maybe we can leave a number for them also for Crime Stoppers if we want to I put up there Crime Stoppers, StocktonCrimeStoppers.com. So you guys have the link for that. You can go ahead and click on it.
Yep.
Check that out. You also are able to see the link that he has for ValentinoSilva.com for trustee, board trustee, area 3. If you can just check that out and see what he has to say about some of the issues that he's passionate about. And I definitely would like for you guys to come out to Mixed Metaphors this weekend. But I am so happy to have you here to be able to share like
Thank
the
you for
importance of
having
that.
me.
Yeah, I'm so glad because I need people to understand, and we want people to understand that the youth are ready to rise up.
Yes.
It's no longer, well, we're here to do for you. No, we're ready to be involved.
Yes.
And make the change.
And the cap has to be removed from
the old
from holding us down.
Yes.
And the number for Crime Stoppers is 209-946-0600.
0600. Crime Stoppers. All right, you guys. Well, that has been our show today. This is Valentino Silva. He is with Crime Stoppers. He's the youngest member of the board.
I am the only teen nationally.
Nationally?
Yeah, nationally to be a full board
so,
member of Crime Stoppers.
That's super dope.
Yeah.
Nationally.
Nationally. I'm the only youth of the age 19 to be a part of this organization.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And we need more.
And yes, we definitely
we need
more.
more.
We do need more.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much data to bring in and to really encourage and inspire our community members worldwide, nationwide, to say these tragedies, these traumas, these crimes, it's not okay. We're not trying to become more broken people. We're trying to heal ourselves. We're trying to heal our nation so that we can get to a place where we're all thriving and we're fruitful for generations beyond ourselves and for Mother Nature and for our planet.
Exactly.
So if you guys please just
Very
do your
important.
part.
Very important.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're on the out, and this is Welcome to My City by yours truly, RawNé.